Let me start this video off by saying this. Kamau Bell is a snake. Let me just put it out there right now. So, what you see in this picture is Bill Cosby, Kamau Bell, who was on the far right, and in the middle it says Sundance Film Festival 2022. So basically, what you have is Kamau Bell has created this documentary called We Need to Talk About Cosby, which now they're digging in even more for something that's not even there. Now, I can only come to this conclusion is that they need to try to go after Cosby again for something that is all been alleged at this point, because as you know, back over the summer of last year, he pretty much was cleared of all the convictions and charges that he had to his name, and he was let go. Of course, we know who was upset about it. But now we have this situation right here with Kamau Bell. And you want to know what's so interesting? How they got Cosby the first time was through a bootlick by the name of Hannibal Buress. And now you have this bootlick right here who's going after him again by the name of Kamau Bell. And it's crazy because Kamau Bell and Hannibal Buress, besides both of them being bootlicks, have a slight resemblance of each other. And apparently their mindsets are the same as well. I'm guessing Kamau Bell is looking for another come up. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article coming from Deadline that was posted January 20th, 2022. It says, we need to talk about Cosby, targets power structures, director W. Kamau Bell says ahead of docuseries Sundance premiere. The idea being, I don't know if this person typed this wrong or what, but it says the idea being if I'm too really, I guess, ready to learn the lessons of Bill Cosby, then this is part of that W. Kamau Bell says of the trenchant, we need to talk about Cosby. This is about being smart, being aware, caring about your community. As the director of the 4-episode docuseries, which is set to premiere at the Sundance Film Festival and on Showtime on January 30th. Already one of the most anticipated offerings of this year's virtual festival because of WoVid, We Need to Talk About Cosby uses a very large canvas to paint a portrait of Bill Cosby, the one-time imprisoned and convicted sex offender, including the creation of his posture as America's dad decades ago and the contradictions that linger after 2 trials and Cosby's early release last year. Now, listen to how they introduce Bill Cosby. Not him for his stand-up work or his films or his television show. They kick it off with the one time in prison and convicted sex offender. And I told people, I said, that's going to be his new legacy. Every time they mention Bill Cosby, they're always going to go back to this. Even this man could be completely innocent of every single thing that he was accused of doing. And because of guilt, court of public opinion, this is what they're always going to continue to lead with. Always. And people like W. Kamau Bell is not making it any better. He's making it worse. To that end, the United Shades of America host employs a number of circumspect techniques to tell the sometimes sordid tale. Bell also speaks with a sprawling array of journalists, cultural commentators, comedians, as well as survivors of Cosby's alleged sexual assaults over the years. Based on what many have termed a technicality, which it was not, but that's the easiest thing they can go with, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court in June 2021 vacated Cosby's 2018 conviction for the 2004 violation of Andrea Constand, and the now 84-year-old actor walked free. Currently facing an effort by prosecutors to have the U.S. Supreme Court take up the matter and battling a number of civil suits, Cosby has been accused by more than 60 women of violations, drug-facilitated sexual assault and sexual battery and other misconduct, with some of the alleged crimes dating back nearly 60 years. Far from the slopes and coffee joints of Park City due to the latest WoVid search during Sundance Virtual again, Bell spoke about the making of We Need to Talk About Cosby and the struggles he faced internally and externally in this time of pandemic. We also talked about the worries he had about how Black America and white America will view the docuseries and the bigger picture he is seeking to illuminate. Well, I can see what he's trying to seek, and it's not a bigger picture, but a bigger paycheck. You can't tell me this guy isn't doing this for a bag. And then they just go into an interview part where Deadline is speaking to him. Deadline says, "You've been went on this project for ages. How does it feel knowing it is coming out into the world virtually at Sundance just a couple of days and then on Showtime on January 30th?" He said, "I'm still at the point where I feel like most people who've seen it are people who worked on it. We've been holding on to it for a while. I joked that I wanted Showtime to drop it like a Beyonce album to sort of put it out there to the world. So the hardest part is knowing it's done and wanting people to see it." Deadline says, why is that the hardest part? He replies with, "Because I really do feel like the thing we've attempted to do here is not something I've seen done with this kind of story before. I beg to differ. This is called a hit piece. We've seen many and several hit pieces on black men over the years. Did he miss Leaving Neverland? And by the way, speaking of Leaving Neverland, I think they're trying to make a second part. For what? The first one got debunked as nothing but lies. Why are you making a part 2? They said, how do you mean? They said, it was like once myself and the producer started to look into it, all of us had this thing of like, I thought I would understand this, but we didn't. I really did not understand this, and I think it was important to me to do that same thing to the viewer. You know, I think a lot of times in docs like this, which I love, you can kind of lose track of where you are in time because you're just taking in so much information. For me, this comes from what I do in United Shades. I wanted people to be locked into, here's the information. You need to know and how to understand this and really understand what we're talking about visually in terms of the timelines we show in changing culture surrounding Cosby as he changed from a comic to a more of a teacher. So for me, I can't let you lose track of the timeline that we're in because the information means more if you are really focused on the timeline. I really give a Showtime a shout out for really sort of embracing that, because like, I think that stuff can be seen as like gimmicky or extra, but they really understood that now this actually locks you into the timeline of events. So practically, I understand people who maybe don't want to believe these women. I think they may have some idea that this all happened during the Cosby Show or it all happened later in his life. No. So once you realize that these accusations go all the way back to the early days of his career, I think it will change a lot of people's perspective on what they believe or don't believe. Deadline says, well, you certainly explore the massive contradictions between between the teacher and the lesson, so to speak. And he says, for sure, like I've said before, I don't think Bill Cosby will want me to do this. Then why would you do this? It's almost sounding like he knows Bill Cosby. I wonder if he does. I wonder if Bill Cosby knows who he is. That would make him an even bigger snake. He says, but Cliff Huxtable would. Again, Cliff Huxtable is a fictional character. Listen to what he said. I don't think Bill Cosby will want me to do this, but Cliff Huxtable would. The idea, if I'm being ready to learn lessons of Bill Cosby, then this is part of that. This is about being smart, being aware, caring about your community. It's also calling out the industry about the idea of many of the structures in place that allow Bill Cosby to what I believe to be the guy that committed these crimes. A lot of the stuff is still in place. So he said what I believe, not what he knows, but what he believes. So if we really want to be clear about this and we want to learn the right lessons, then a lot of this is about dismantling the power structures in place that allow this sort of thing to flourish. You want to know what's so crazy? A lot of the power structures that allow a lot of powerful men who are more powerful than Cosby ever would still continue to get away with this. But I bet you Kamau Bell wouldn't do a documentary about them. He ain't going to do one about Epstein. Shoot, he won't even do one about Ghislaine Maxwell. Didn't she just go to court for the role she played? Oh, I give him another one. I do one about Keith Raniere and Allison Mack and the whole NXIVM organization. But see, it's easier to go after the black man. It's an easy target because they know there's no consequence for doing so. And he knows if he went after any of the people that I just talked about, even though we know what their involvements were, even if we don't know everything, he knows what'll happen to him, at least his career. He says, big goal, no easy task. This is what Deadline says. He says, no. And I think that the one thing I've already been accused of a little bit, and I'm sure it'll come out more, is that this idea that I've been chosen by the white man to take a black man down. Like the white man has anointed me, the black guy with a white wife, because, of course, to take the black man down. That's how you know he's been watching us. Because where else is that talking point coming from? It ain't coming from PC. But I would like to say that if you watch the film, it is clear we're talking about not just Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby is the way into the conversation. Listen to what he just said. Bill Cosby is the way into the conversation. He's the lead in. He did not choose any other person from any other group, but Bill Cosby was the one that he chose. Kamau Bell, that's probably why many people have that assumption of you, that you were chosen to do this. Because if you were to do it on any of the people that I mentioned, you wouldn't, this thing probably would not go far. We probably wouldn't even be having this conversation. He says Bill Cosby is the way into the conversation, but we're not just talking about Bill Cosby behavior. We're not just talking about black men behavior. We're talking about the behavior of powerful men of all races, and that's important. But the name of the documentary is called We Need to Talk About Cosby. It's not saying we need to talk about the power structure. Hell, he's not even saying we need to talk about violation culture. I'm editing myself when I say violation. Y'all know what I mean. I'm not going to read the rest of this because honestly, it's annoying me. I think I got what I needed just out of just the first part of that interview. If you want to read the rest of it, I'll post the link in the comments and you can go ahead and read it for yourself. But yeah, I would not be watching this. I will not be entertaining this at all. As far as I'm concerned, I'll give it my rating right now. It's 0 stars. No rewatchability. No watchability, quite honest. And that's my go in, go out review of this thing. People are like, oh, but you didn't watch it. You're damn right I didn't watch it. Because I already know it's going to be a bunch of BS. And y'all know it is too. And as for Kamau Bell, he going to get his wake up call. It's coming. It always does. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the video on that note. If you are new to the channel, make sure y'all go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Make sure y'all like, comment, and share. Hit the bell so you can get the notifications whenever I upload a new commentary or go live. And I will talk to you in the next one. I wanted to add this piece in here that just recently was written up on the Daily Beast about Kamau Bell. And this, if you see right here, it says in the article, it says why Kamau Bell worries his Bill Cosby documentary could end his career. Honestly, if it wasn't for that show on CNN, what career would he actually have? Honestly, I don't know anybody who watches that show. I couldn't tell you what day it comes on or what time, who he's spoken with. I just know that it comes on CNN. I don't even know any reaction channels that would watch and react to it. So, and you know, reaction channels, they watch just a bit about of everything. But I thought it was interesting that he said this, and the way I found out about this is on Twitter, and one of the first comments people made was, if you was worried that this was going to end your career, if you want to call it that, why would you make it in the first place? Like, that's what really came about of it. I really don't want to read this entire article. I actually skimmed through it already, but some takeaways that I got from it is, he says I'm a big catastrophizer. I think he realizes that he probably bit off more than he could chew, but the thing is, this is pretty much a done deal. And they were asking him different questions and everything like that. And one question he was asked was, or he said he sees a lot of comments like, how come there's got to be a documentary about Bill Cosby when there isn't ones about Harvey Weinstein, Woody Allen, Jeffrey Epstein, and other white men who, you know, violate women? And he wrote in response on Instagram, he says, well, they already made those and more. So, but here's the thing. Bill Cosby had a whole trial, 2 of them, that was plastered out into the world, like everywhere. They kind of kept Jeffrey Epstein, like his was blasted out there, but it was reserved at the same time. Woody Allen, none. Harvey Weinstein, they keep him as under wraps as they possibly can. His trial may happen, but I don't think they're going to make a media circus about it. See, the thing is, he says they've already made those, but that's the thing. They'll constantly make documentaries about black men over and over and over again. Look at R. Kelly. They did 2 of those. They did a part 1 and a part 2 for Surviving R. Kelly, as if they needed a part 2. Hell, did they even need a part 1? He said, well, that was his response. Well, they already made those. And the other question was, well, why should you as a black man spend so much time bringing down another black man? And he responded with, to be honest, I was doing it before I even asked myself why. He tells the interviewer, he said, it just felt like that's what I was supposed to do. Listen to that. They asked him, why do you as a black man feel you should bring down another black man? His response is, it just felt like that's what I was supposed to do. Doesn't that sound like he was handpicked by someone in the so-called dominant society to do this? They said, Kamau Bell, we choose you to go after this black man, and you're going to do it. And you might get a career boost. You may not. But he feels his career might come to an end. He even said, he knew the risk of being involved in exposing the ugly truth about a multi-generational cultural icon for black people. But the thing is, a lot of the stuff that they've been saying about Bill Cosby has been nothing but a bunch of lies. It has been debunked and proven so many times. So why do you keep aiding in it and claiming that it's true? He said, having seen the death threats that shut down a premiere screening of Dreamhampton's Surviving R. Kelly series, or the continued furor over HBO's Leaving Neverland documentary from Michael Jackson, Truthers. He says, so I was prepared for it, Bell says, but it doesn't make it fun. So if you weren't prepared for it, why did you even do it? If you knew that there were risks behind this, why did you even try? Why did you even do that? Why did you even make it? I think I said it in the first part of this commentary, I hope this thing flops. And he goes on to say, he feels like it could be the end of his career. He says, to be fair, Matt, I'm still worried. I don't feel like I'm out of the woods yet. It's not a superhero movie, so even if you love it, it doesn't mean you want to see more from that guy. He says, I'm proud of the work overall, but Cosby is still a powerful figure in pop culture, even if he's not as powerful as he was when the Cosby Show was around. That's that narrative of he's so powerful that he can just do anything that he wants and get away with it. Sort of like how a lot of his PC counterparts have been known to do. Trust and believe Bill Cosby doesn't have as much power as people give him. He goes on to say, and even people who believe, like I believe, that he sexually assaulted and violated women publicly want to be looked at as either on his side or neutral. So I just know it might not be the best look to be seen with me. Did you hear that? He even puts out there that he still believes that Bill Cosby did this, even though he's been exonerated. This is the same thing that 45 did with the Central Park 5 back in the day. The same exact thing. You can have all the facts and figures, but if you believe that it happened, it happened. Even if there's no facts or evidence, as long as you believe and you have a strong belief system, that's all that's needed. He also said that he's the black guy who hung out with he said Bell adds, I'm also the black guy that hung out with the Klan. You know what I mean? I should have been like Kevin Hart and chose to hang out with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I mean, I would love to hang out with all of them, but this probably gets me further away from that. Was that supposed to be a joke? And I'm guessing he's in relation to his show that he has. I think it's called Shades of America. So basically the show is about him being the only black guy in the room, going around hanging with a bunch of PC people, whether good or bad or otherwise. That's the vibe I'm getting, and I think that's what the show is really about. Let me tell Kamau Bell something. When this is all said and done and it's all blown over, the same people who ask you're trying to kiss, they're going to toss you back to the wolves. And guess who the wolves are? We are the wolves, and we are prepared to tear your ass apart. Something else I thought was interesting as I was going through after I read this article, I had to go back and look at this piece of, I'm not going to read this, but look at this headline. It's coming from the New York Times. It says, Kamau Bell, Bill Cosby is key to understanding America. The comic and commentator discusses in his new documentary, We Need to Talk About Cosby, and what Cosby's story reveals about the two runaway forces of oppression in America. Now, this guy said earlier, if you remember what I said earlier in this video, that this documentary is not just talking about Cosby, yet you look at this headline right here and he said Bill Cosby is key to understanding America. So basically what Kamau Bell is trying to convey is that through Bill Cosby, or through the lens and scope of Bill Cosby, we are going to understand all the ills wrong with America. Basically, that's what I'm gathering from just that headline. This, like I said on Twitter, now I might have said it in this video, and if I did, I'm gonna say it again right now. Kamau Bell is a whole ass clown.